Missouri City Council, Monday, April 6, 2020, 7 p.m. Heidrich.
Aye.
Holtzmeyer.
Aye.
Obermark.
Aye.
Patke.
Here.
Pettit.
Here.
Scornia. Scornia.
Bueller.
Record notice he's here.
Bueller.
Hessel.
Here.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will all the council members answer if they have or have not read the minutes of the council meeting dated March 16, 2020? Heidrich.
Aye.
Holtzmeyer.
Aye.
Obermark.
Aye.
Patke.
Aye.
Pettit.
Yes.
Scornia. Suellentrop.
Yes.
Councilman Suellentrop says yes.
Okay, having read the minutes, are there any comments or questions, any corrections?
Councilman Suellentrop says approve.
Patke says second.
Okay, we have a motion by Suellentrop, seconded by Patke, to approve the minutes from our last meeting dated March 16th, 2020. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? By your vote, you approve the minutes. Thank you.
Approval and adjustment of agenda, including consent agenda. You have the collector's report summary, November 2019, investment report summary, November 2019. They have postponed the spring cleanup campaign. Change order 1 for Lamke Trenching and Excavating Inc. for Meadowlark Drive, Duncan Avenue, and Old Highway 100. Final pay request for Washington Fence Company, the large dog cart fencing addition, and a final pay request, Diamond Fence LLC, Riverfront Railroad Fence.
Okay, are there any questions or comments on those items?
Hobart makes a motion.
Pettit, second.
Okay, we have a motion by Holtmar, seconded by Pettit, to approve the items on the consent agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Suellentrop abstains.
Okay, by your vote, Suellentrop to abstain, and so by your vote, you pass those items. Thank you.
Priority items, mayor's presentations, appointments, and reappointments. Police Department reappointment.
Okay, this evening we have the reappointment of Cody Boone as a patrol officer. Cody is one of our newer officers with us here in the city of Washington. And of course, this is, as usual, for a one-year appointment. So his term would expire April 17, 2021.
Chief is on the line if you have any questions.
Okay, he's,
Patke, motion to approve.
Pettit, second.
okay, we have a motion by Patke, seconded by Pettit, to approve the reappointment of Cody Boone as a patrol officer. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you approve the reappointment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Arbor Day proclamation.
Okay, this evening we have a mayor's proclamation for Arbor Day. Our Parks Department was planning a very nice event out at the Millard Post Nature Reserve, and obviously I don't think that's going to happen this year, but we were hoping to get a lot of people in there to show them around what's all been done. But anyway, we have a mayor's proclamation, City of Washington, Missouri, Arbor Day. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas the Tree City USA program, sponsored by the National Arbor Day Foundation, provides direction, technical assistance, public attention, and national recognition for urban and community forest programs in thousands of towns and cities that more than 93 million Americans call home. And whereas the city of Washington has been a tree city for the past 15 years, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now therefore I, Sandy Lucy, Mayor of the City of Washington, do hereby proclaim April 20th, 2020 as Arbor Day in the City of Washington, and urge all our citizens to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands and to support our city's urban forestry program by planting trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of present and future generations. Signed, Sandy Lucy, Mayor of Washington, Missouri. Okay, we'll enter that into the records. Okay.
Citizens' comments. I did not receive any comments from the public.
And there's,
So, report of department heads, brick columns repair at Main and Elm parking lot.
You should have within your packets, I'm going to cover this for Wayne. There were some items that were budgeted from the TIF budget. We were going to go ahead and use those, those funds to go ahead and fix the fountain. However, as you can see from the letter, there's been moisture getting behind the brick columns that are down there that are much more of a concern that we have with regards to falling on the sidewalk, et cetera. So what Wayne is asking for you to do is to go ahead and reallocate that $7,500 from the TIF budget towards fountain repairs and upgrades to brick columns at the parking lot in fiscal year 20. And then he'll go back and put the money back in for working on the fountain in the fiscal 21 year budget.
any questions or comments?
Patke, motion to accept in the minutes.
Holmeyer seconds it.
Okay, we have a motion by Patke, seconded by Holtmeyer to accept this item into the minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you accepted the item. Thank you.
We've got two other department heads that I've asked to go ahead and report to tonight. Mark, why don't we go ahead and start with you with regards to kind of give us an update. Mark's been working with the, as our emergency management director, keeping updated with Franklin County, Mercy Hospital, et cetera. And so I asked him tonight to go ahead and give you all an update on his daily findings. We can go ahead and, I'll just turn it over to Mark. Quit talking.
Okay, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, as I reported last month, we've been planning since about February. We started internally in the city, looking at our critical operations, how we would work our personnel, minimizing our exposure to our personnel, getting things set up for reimbursables because the emergency measures that are being set up to prevent contamination are reimbursable under FEMA. So Sal Maniaci is heading that up as far as recovery. And then we are starting to look at, speaking of which, recovery, that is, the long-term plan. Some of the other things we've been looking at in conjunction with Mercy are the alternate care location plans. In the event there would be so many people show up at the hospital, we would need to look at other locations for care. We've been assisting the nursing and assisted living facilities, been in contact with them. Their primary shortage to this point has been just like so many others in the nation, and that's personal protective equipment. The chamber was very good, and I contacted the chamber, and they put out an appeal for N95 masks, cleaning supplies, those sort of things. and we got a very good response. So we were able to distribute some of those supplies to the nursing homes and kind of help them out with their personal protective equipment. In addition to mass casualty plans, we were also working together with the hospital and Franklin County Emergency Management on mass casualty plans in the event that we would have to set up temporary morgues if the situation got that dire. And we're certainly hoping that it doesn't. So we are now moving from a planning state, we are into operational plans. And what the health professionals are now calling the acceleration phase that we are in now, to where we will see cases and unfortunately deaths as well begin to rise. So, as I say, we're braced. We feel, along with Mercy, we feel the planning's been beneficial. We believe that the plans are ready to go, and so now we're just going to operate with those plans, and we will begin to start looking at recovery. I know a point of curiosity has been, where is the end of this going to be? Some of the models, modeling simulations that I've been looking at, Mercy's been looking at, we're talking like a week or two away yet, probably about April 19th is the model that I've been using. That looks like that will be the peak. And beyond that, unfortunately, we'll probably be looking at about a 14-day rolling peak beyond that. And then the curve, we've been asked to flatten the curve, and hopefully at that point, we begin to see a downward trend. So that's really all I have to report if anyone has any questions.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. The second one, I've asked, is Shauna back on? There she is. She's coming on.
Yes.
All right, very good, Shauna. Shauna has been working with some changes that we've had in the federal legislation with regards to human resources. We've had a lot of stuff to go ahead and keep up with. Obviously, we've got an ordinance in here for you later that we'd like for you to go ahead and consider. But before we do that, I just wanted Shauna to kind of brief you on what some of the changes of what we've had to deal with for some of our staff eventually, and we anticipate that we will have this. I'll talk to you a little bit later on tonight about some of the stuff we've experienced, but I'll let Shauna go ahead and kind of give an overview.
Thank you, Darren. So as many of you may have heard, there was an act called the Families First Coronavirus Response Act. What that act means to us as an employer is that we now must provide, on top of our leave, an additional 80 hours of emergency paid leave. That is for very specific reasons related to COVID-19. All employees will be eligible for that leave.
I'm getting no sound. Yeah, I'm not getting anything from her either. I can't hear anything either.
Should I continue, Darren?
Just go ahead and continue. We'll have to pass this information on to them later. We can go ahead and do that.
Okay. Okay. So the leave is 8 hours of emergency leave on top of leave they already have. There are 6 reasons that you can qualify for this leave. The reasons 1, 2, and 3 are at 100% of an employee's pay, and reasons 4, 5, and 6 are at 2/3 of their pay. And reasons 4, 5,
Got a delay.
They're getting the feedback from hearing it.
Yeah.
That's what's happening. Yeah.
Need a what? When they're talking especially.
Yeah.
Do I need to tell them that? Can they hear me?
Can you guys hear us? Mary?
Hear you.
Okay. I don't think we can hear Shauna very well. That's been a problem, I guess, with the others. We can pass that information on to you guys all as a group or whatever. Essentially, just in a nutshell, I know Shauna would do you much more justice than what I can do, but quickly, there are about 3 different ways that people can go ahead and get emergency sick leave based upon the new legislation that was passed. Obviously, we have to go ahead and abide by it. It's sick time in addition to what we already have for employees on the books. So we would have to go ahead and do that. But we can go ahead and give you some more information about that later. Right now, that's not causing a problem. One of the things that we do have in your packet for later tonight is an ordinance to allow for employees, if they are affected during a pandemic and they have somebody within their household where they have to be quarantined or they have to go ahead and have a stay-at-home order, that they can use their sick leave, which currently under your code you cannot do. You as the employee have to use your sick days, not for somebody else in your family. With this, it takes it under advisement as a pandemic. We'll have that for you later to go ahead and consider. Okay? That's all I have, and I apologize under these conditions. I didn't want Shauna to go on and only half of us hear what basically needed to be said. Okay?
All right. Who's talking on there now?
That's still Darren.
There-
It's
if-
on a,
It would help,
Feedback loop.
it would help if they mute until they need to speak. Because what's happening is they're hearing you twice. You're hearing everything twice.
Can you guys hear that back there? If you could go ahead and mute so that you only hear, because you're hearing my feedback twice, especially or whoever's talking. Otherwise, just go on. I don't know.
Okay,
Tell
so,
Mary to go ahead with the next.
Mary, shall we go on? That's it of department heads, right? That was all we were going to have. Okay.
Resolution,
There you go.
a resolution of official intent of the city of Washington, Missouri. A resolution of official intent of the city of Washington, Missouri toward the issuance of industrial revenue bonds to finance a project for Industrial Shoe Factory Law LLC and authoring certain actions relating thereto.
Councilman Sellatrop.
Introduced by Councilman Sullentrup.
This is what's necessary to go ahead and move forward with the International Shoe Factory development. And so, like I said, Sal needed to go ahead and get this passed for you tonight. That's all I have.
Okay, Mary?
I think this is our problem. If we're hearing it twice out of this. If I
Out of
could mute
that?
this, we wouldn't get that,
But then-
they would still be on delay.
Well, I guess I don't know how they would hear it. We'll have to figure that part
I
out.
don't know, I'm just,
Mary, do you want to do a second reading?
This is a resolution I need
Oh.
a second on.
Pat Key will make a second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Sullentrup, seconded by Patke. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you approve the resolution. Thank you.
Favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
On a delay.
By your vote, you approve the resolution. Thank you.
There you go, see? Got to sit around and wait for it to go through.
Okay. An ordinance declaring a state of emergency in the city of Washington, Missouri, and enacting certain regulations in connection therewith.
Pat Key.
Introduced by Councilmember Patke.
Okay, after a lot of discussion with Mark and it was also recommended by the county commission that we would enact a local emergency. Basically, what this helps us do, and basically the number one reason why we have this in front of you, is so that our police officers can go ahead and enforce if we have situations where we've got too many gathered at one spot in town. If people aren't practicing social distancing, that could be in our parks, that could be in businesses, et cetera, that we have it. Otherwise, we're subject to the enforcement of Franklin County and the health department and the sheriff's office. They do not have the resources, obviously countywide, to help enforce this. So I talked to Mark about this, and that's the reason why we decided to go ahead and put it on the council, on your packet tonight. And again, it's just strictly for enforcement issue. We did add peddlers, canvassers, et cetera, solicitors on section 14. That's the only thing that's different from anything that the county has passed to date. So that's basically it by enacting this at a local level. It just allows our police officers to go ahead and take care of if we have an enforcement issue. That's basically it by enacting this.
Any questions or comments? Okay,
Any questions or comments?
Second reading.
Second.
An ordinance declaring a state of emergency in the city of Washington, Missouri, and enacting certain regulations in connection therewith. Fornia.
Yes.
Sulentrop.
Yes.
Patke.
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes.
Overmark.
Yes.
Heidrich.
Aye.
Holtmeyer.
Aye.
Wessels.
by your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
An ordinance amending section 125.460 of the Code of the City of Washington, Missouri.
Sullentrup.
Introduced by Councilmember Sullentrup.
As I was stating earlier, this ordinance is there for you. It's in section F. You can see the area that's, or the language that's being added is in bold. It basically allows for employees to utilize sick leave in a pandemic situation like we are in case that somebody within their household, it has to be quarantined, so therefore to prevent the spread. And it's the same way if they have their spouse, their children, and the terms of how they may receive that information. It goes on to identify immediate family members. And so this is something we did not have within your code. So we wanted to go ahead and make sure and get that in front of you tonight. We are aware of, like I said early in my letter, we're aware of the weekly changes with the federal legislation. They seem like weekly. We'll see if there's anything that's supposed to be coming out this week. But in trying to keep up with that, that's what we tried to cover with you earlier. But just to give you an idea, and I'll go into a little bit more under city manager's report, the measures that we have taken with operations to go ahead and make sure that we keep our employees safe, but at the same time also be able to provide the essential services that we need to carry out for the city. So,
We have to prove this if there's any more changes?
do you have to approve this? If there are any, at this time, I would say no. At least we'd be good. What this allows us to go ahead and do, this is retroactive back to the time when we needed it, of March 15th.
Any other questions or comments?
Yes, I was wondering as I read that, why you were specific of pandemic. I can't remember the wording, whether it said virus, pandemic, influenza. Why not, so that we don't have to do it again for some other type of illness, maybe just a generic like pandemic illness. You know what I'm saying? Because you were very specific in the wording there. I think it said pandemic virus. I'm not sure. More generic.
If I could answer, I'll try to answer, Mark. We are looking at that entire section of our personnel policy manual. And when I say it's been under review by Shauna and I, our goal is this year was to go ahead and provide you with a completely updated one that would try to go ahead and address other types of situations. We just saw this as a specific need that we needed to take care and put in effect right now so that employees, if they do have to be quarantined, they can go ahead and utilize their sick time, or if they've got somebody of an immediate family member. So hopefully an answer to your question is we'll be coming back with a much more comprehensive and thorough change to the policy manual at a later date.
All right, thank,
Anyone else?
An ordinance amending section 125.460 of the Code of the City of Washington, Missouri. Scornia,
yes.
Sullentruck.
Yes.
Patke.
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes.
Obermark.
Yes.
Heidrich.
Aye.
Holtmeyer.
Aye.
Wessels.
Aye.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
An ordinance annexing 9.92 acres of Weber Farms, Plat 3, into the City of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri.
Holtmeyer.
Introduced by Councilman Holtmeyer.
This was an item that we held a public hearing before you. I think it was back on the 16th of March. This would just annex in another phase of the Weber Farms development out there. We have to wait 15 days from the date of the public hearing before we can have an ordinance in front of you for your approval to annex.
Any questions or comments?
Will this addition connect the streets together?
I think this does connect those streets together. I apologize, I don't have the map. The subdivision plat was something that I think was going to follow up with. So it has the potential to make the connection, let's just put it that way.
Okay.
Anyone else?
An ordinance annexing 9.92 acres of Weber Farms, Plat 3, into the City of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri. Scornia,
Yes.
Sullentruck.
Yes.
Petke.
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes.
Obermark.
Yes.
Heidrich.
Aye.
Holtmeyer.
Aye.
Wessels.
Aye.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
An ordinance annexing plats 1 and 2, lots 1 through 61 of Middle Lake Farm into the City of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri.
Patke.
Introduced by Councilmember Patke. Well, this is it.
This is it. This is the Meadow Lake subdivision. You've got all the lots within that. We have, according to John, I think 90% of the sanitary sewer has been built to get that over. So we will, as a matter of fact, I think the connection may be made even this week in a couple of days. Yeah. So that will bypass their system. We'll be ready to go ahead. We've already started the process for the billing for that. Keep in mind, we do have 6 months to get them water service, but we are looking at doing that, but that's just going to be at a later date, the more pressing need. They are still being served right now from the water district, but we will go ahead and get water to them at a later date. So, yes, we worked under a long, hard time to go ahead and get to this point. Many elections, many public hearings, and under these crazy circumstances that we're living in right now, this is how we do it.
Any questions or comments?
Nice work.
Yippee.
An ordinance annexing plats 1 and 2, lots 1 through 61 of Meadow Lake Farm into the City of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri. Scornia,
Yes.
Sullentruck.
Yes.
Patke.
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes.
Obermark.
Yes.
Heidrich.
Aye. Yes.
Holtmeyer.
Aye.
Wessels.
Aye.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
An ordinance terminating an agreement between the City of Washington, Missouri and Modern Pool Management Corporation, doing business as Midwest Pool Management of America, LTD, for the operation and management of the Agnes Knowlton Aquatic Complex.
Patke.
Introduced by Councilmember Patke.
So this, as I think we brought to your attention or whatever, a couple of things that kind of brought this to a head. One, we had always looked at the possibility of lengthening the time that we'll have for our pool construction. We were going to start that timeline in August, the first week of August. We were going to cut it short by a couple weeks already for this season. And so that on top of the, and we think that if we go ahead and do this now, we'll be able to go ahead and start the demolition portion of the contract, move that, hopefully also get a better contract price when we're ready to bring that to you in May. The second thing with it is the fact of just the unknown with the virus. I think we're just concerned with regards to what's going to be the status of that at that time. Is it still something that maybe we probably need? And since we are in a transition year, if you will, we felt the need was to go ahead and do this. This also helps us save with regards to our operating budget. This will be approximately about $100,000 savings to your general fund because by the time you offset the revenues from the admissions with regards to the costs of what we have with Midwest Pool to go ahead and manage this contract. So we think at this time it just seems like a solid decision to go ahead and terminate. I have talked with Midwest Pool as soon as we decided to go ahead and make it public with regard to that and said that this was going to be something that we would take to the council on the 6th. So.
Just to add, Darren, through Parks, it was, it needs to be done now, because if we wait any longer, we wouldn't get this, we wouldn't be able to negate this contract with them. So therefore, a lot of people have asked me, why didn't we wait until May and make this decision? Because we would not have been able to back off on this contract with them. It needs to be done now.
Yes,
so.
basically you have, the city could go ahead and terminate the contract within 30 days for no reason at this time. And so we felt before Midwest Pool went ahead and extended any, or expanded any resources whatsoever, we wanted to go ahead and take care of it. So.
It's disappointing, but I think it's the right thing. Just makes sense, so.
How's the design coming?
The design is very well. We've had, went through the first set of interview questions. We had to do it via video meetings, but they were all last week. They were Thursday. We had 2 on Friday, 1 on Thursday. John Nilgis, Wayne Dunker, and then we also had Kevin Creedy from our park board from the city. All take part in those. We also have our team with Landmark, the owner's rep, Greg Kudron, that's helping us, and Shannon Johanning and Andrea Lohmeyer all took part as far as our team, but we interviewed 3 separate teams. And it was interesting because there was just some questions that they had trying to feel out what is it that the city was looking at, what are the priorities that the city has for a pool, and so we were able to answer some of those questions. We'll have a second round of those discussions or interviews later this week, but we should be able to go ahead, hopefully within, by the end of the month, have some conceptual drawings that we can kind of show of here's what we're going to get for the bang for our buck. I have told them in the interim that our budget would be closer to $4 million. We had 3.8 that went out with the RFQs, but we told them that we would go ahead and just round it up to 4 million. We do have, I guess, Wayne was going to go ahead and we did have a donation recently that's helped that quite a bit to help us get to that 4 million mark. But between that and some other capital improvement sales projects, the savings that we can get, we felt that we just rounded up to 4. So they're working on that. I think hopefully you'll see that we'll have a pretty good product by the time we get done with this. We're anticipating it's the right time to go ahead and build a pool. Any uncertainty that we had before with the construction market has kind of gone by the wayside, and we feel that we've got some very energetic teams trying to go ahead and provide us with the best design. So.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, Mary?
An ordinance terminating an agreement between the City of Washington, Missouri and Modern Pool Management Corporation, doing business as Midwest Pool Management of America, LTD, for the operation and management of the Agnes Knowlton Aquatic Complex. Scornia? Scornia?
It's frozen.
Sullentrop?
Yes.
Patchkey?
Yes.
Pettit?
Yes.
Obermark?
Yes.
Heidrich,
Yes.
Aye.
Holtmeyer,
Aye.
Wessel.
Yes.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a memorandum of understanding by and between the city of Washington, Missouri and the Department of Veterans Affairs.
Salantrop.
Introduced by Councilmember Sullentrup.
This is an annual agreement that we have for the Veterans Affairs for their office that we provide enforcement. That's basically, it's something that comes around once a year.
Okay, any questions or comments? Okay,
Questions or comments? An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a memorandum of understanding by and between the city of Washington, Missouri and the Department of Veterans Affairs. Scornia,
Yes.
Sullentrup.
Yes.
Patkey.
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes.
Obermark.
Yes.
Yes.
Heidrich.
Aye.
Yes.
Holtmeyer.
Aye.
Wessel.
Yes.
Aye.
by your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
Mayor's report.
Well, I'd like to continue to tell everyone to stay safe and practice their social distancing. I think we're doing fairly well at that in our community. It seems like a lot of our businesses are upping their game on that. But beyond that, I want to comment on the outstanding staff that we have who's handling all these decisions and working at this. It's just pretty amazing. Our team here has been on it every day. Every day they're solving problems or anticipating other things. And you should know how hard they're working and how serious they're taking this and how very involved they are. And it goes all the way from leadership all the way down to our employees in the field. So they've done a lot of creative things with dividing departments up into different teams. Like maybe you're going to talk about that a little bit, Darren. But we should all be very, very proud of our team here at City Hall and throughout the city because they are just doing an outstanding job and putting a lot of thought and mindfulness into what our decisions that are being made here. So anyway, I want to congratulate them, and sounds like we're not quite ready to peak yet. It's only going to get worse. Pray that it doesn't touch us at home too much here at our City Hall home. So anyway, that's really all I have.
City Administrator's report.
I just have a couple of things. First, there's a letter within your packet. We've got two items that we'd like for you to go ahead and approve for us. First, we would like to go ahead and postpone the deadline for both liquor and business license renewals from July 1st to September 1st. This will, right now, that's just probably the last thing that's probably going on with some of our local businesses. So we've decided to ask you to go ahead and push that back. That was one item. The second, this kind of coincides, we just wanted clarification from at the March 16th meeting. At that time, I think we advised you that we would be postponing all water shutoffs at that time. But what we'd also like to do is recommend the elimination of penalties for delayed utility payments, and at this time, at least until May 4th. So those are the two items I'd like you to recommend approval and add in.
Need a motion?
Darren, I'm not opposed to the
Yes.
first, but when they do renew their liquor license, will it be for 10 months then? And then we'd be back on the same cycle next year?
We would probably, yes, we would be back on the same cycle next year. I think we could go ahead and prorate the terms. I'm looking up there at Mary, if you remember, because I think we had based those on the fact that we could prorate those terms.
Right.
So,
I support it, I just was curious.
right.
I'll make a
If not,
motion. we change it.
if that's false, I'll get back with you at
Okay.
the next meeting.
I'll make a motion to make the changes.
Second, Overmark.
Okay, we have a motion by Sullentrup, seconded by Obermark to make the suggested changes regarding delaying liquor and business license renewals until September 1 and suspending shut-offs and late charges through May 4th as of now. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
May 4th as of now.
Mary,
Did someone have a question?
No, I think you might just made a comment, but I didn't, did anybody hear Mark's comment?
No.
So.
We have a question?
No, I think you might have just made a comment. Okay. I'll go on to the
Okay.
second item. The second item I have for you, it's not listed, but just try to get a little bit more detail with regards to the separation of our workforce and our operations and how we're working that. What we have basically done is try to do every type of separation of employees and still be able to go ahead and do the function of their jobs. That includes anything from opportunities to go ahead and work at home, if there are opportunities for staggered shifts for offices to go ahead and work different days so that there's not quite the same exposure. I can give you, for example, on the third floor, we probably have only half the staff up there as what we would normally, during normal times. And the others are either working at home on those days or they're, and then coming back in, they're also working longer hours, like maybe 10-hour days as opposed to 5 8-hour days. Same thing that's going on in finance office as well as the engineering. Just to give you a little bit more on Public Works, for example, John and working with Kevin and Tony did a good job of putting together basically kind of 4 different teams. These guys do not intermingle with each other whatsoever. They do 3 36-hour shifts, and what they do for those, are 3, there's 4 employees on 36-hour shifts, 3 days, 12-hour shifts. Sorry, not 36 hours. We're not working them that hard. Sorry, I had that wrong.
You
Thank
gotta
you.
sleep sometime.
I think I knew where
That's
you were
right.
going.
You knew where I was going. Thank you. 3 12-hour shifts totaling 36 hours. So what they do is he's got a crew coming in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then another crew, 2 crews coming in on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Basically, they're broken up by intermingling our street department with our water department. We kind of refer to them as a water specialist, the guys that need to be there in case you've got a water main break, know what needs to be done to go ahead and get the job done. But these teams never coincide or work with each other whatsoever. They report to different places in the morning and start, and so that's just another example of those guys working that. They're also on call on the same day that they've got a 12-hour shift. So that provides them with another extra hour, and we're getting them up to 40 hours with the on-call time, basically, is what it boils down to. So they're all on call, I think, on Sundays in case we have a water main break at that time. But we also have, Wayne has switched to 2 crews of 4 to 5 employees, and they've got, some of them report to the auditorium, the other ones report to the maintenance building. Robin and Chad are now working out there from the old office space or the old office building for the parks, whereas Wayne and Casey are down here in the basement still at this office. So we've broken that off. I know the police department has done things with regards to eliminating roll call, having the officers just go straight to their cars, et cetera. So anything we could be creative in doing and eliminating the need for employees to go ahead and be here, whether it's staggered shifts, whether it's also working longer shifts, but being exposed up here a less amount of time, that's what we're operating under for the time being. So all of the department heads worked with their departments to go ahead and come up with that. So far, we've been on this for now 2 weeks. Seems to be working out, but we also have to be mindful of the fact of if employees do get exposed, and do get situations where they need to be quarantined at home, we have to have others that step in and fill those positions. And so, anyway, we're working through that, and right now we seem to have, I say it under control as of today, but that's what it's been for 2 weeks. and we'll just keep making changes to go ahead and meet the demand or whatever we have to do. Essential services are always the main things of the trash, you know, like I said, our public works employees, as well as police and any emergency responders. Those are all what we consider essential employees.
How often do they sanitize up here in this building?
We have been doing extra, I think, on just the stuff that gets a lot of handling. What's been good is the fact that we do not have to go, we're not open to the public for this time frame. So the doors are locked. You've got half the staff in one day, you got the other half of the staff. So they're sanitizing the doorknobs.
Touch points.
Yeah, touch points, exactly.
The construction industry has been, if you're found out and traced back, it is a OSHA violation if you're exposed at work. Have you heard anything with the city about that at all?
I have not heard anything
Okay.
with regards to that. We can take a look at that.
I mean, I'm just asking. That's what they told us at work. I just don't know if that
That it could
rolled
be an
over to
OSHA
us.
violation if
Right.
we got exposure.
Yeah, if it's an infraction that led to an exposure, it could.
Just in the construction field.
That's what I've seen. I was just wondering if you'd heard anything about that in the city level.
I have not. I have not heard anything, and I don't know if Shauna heard that question or not, or
Like I said, it may just be the construction industry.
it might just be.
Yeah,
if
it
we
might.
do, like I said, we'll check into that, though.
No, that's
We'll
fine.
Take a look.
That sounds like you're doing a great job of keeping them apart, so.
It's working.
Yep.
That's all I have under city administrator's report. I do have just one short item in executive session.
Were there any council comments?
I just echo the mayor's comment. I appreciate the swiftness at which the city administration is acting, making really tough decisions with information that's changing constantly. And so thank you, and we appreciate it, and just ask the community to do the same. And, you know, these are really unusual times.
I guess my question or point, we've been getting updates in the emails, and I appreciate that a lot. Mark Scornia, both, Darren also. Last week, a couple things. We got an email, you know, in regards to the pool,
Yeah.
but then the decision was already made. So I guess I don't know if that's we weren't being asked, we were being told, and I guess I had a little bit of again, I agree with the situation. I'm not disagreeing with it, but just the way, I guess, address it, whether it's a question and you need a response, or whether it's just an informative email.
It was.
We know the
it was
difference.
Based upon the fact of here's a recommendation that we feel that needs to go ahead and be done. As most of you know, I called you all individually.
Right.
Just to kind of explain, see if you had any questions with regards to those. And so that's kind of how we move forward with that. I think really with the uncertainty of what we had with the virus, I guess, coming up, that was our biggest, you know, that, and you're just coinciding with the same time of when you're going to go ahead and reconstruct a pool, so.
No, I agree with it completely, and again, appreciate the updates.
The only thing, and I wish the timing of that could have been a little bit, I guess, closer to this meeting, but at the same time, if we were going to move forward with that, and granted, I told them I won't know anything for certain until we have the meeting, until you guys officially act and terminate the contract.
Right.
So,
Thank you.
Anyone else?
You know, the more I think about it, with this coronavirus, for the safety of the citizens and us as a council, if we don't have a whole lot pending on our next meeting, if it's not a whole lot on the agenda, is there any way we could just cancel till May?
by all means, I think we'll take a look. If we don't need to go ahead and act upon anything, I guess what I do in case, I will tell you, though, that we will probably hope to have finally a contract in front of you, though, that will require approval for Midwest Connections and our refuse hauling. I think that will be in front of you hopefully by the next meeting. So that would be the only thing, and I really do not want, I don't think any of us want to go ahead and delay that. I think what we could do is possibly, if there's a limited amount on the agenda, we could possibly go ahead and do it at any specified time that you guys would find it more, you would be more available. I know these are crazy times. It seems like people got more, maybe free time on their hands. Maybe you don't. I don't know. But that would be the only thing I could think of that's coming up at the next meeting that I would think would be pressing enough where we wanted to go ahead and act on that, just so we had enough lead time to get them started rolling out. And I think they want that as well. so.
Looking at the calendar, the next meeting is that, at the timing of when they are predicting the peak here.
Right.
In our community, so I think we probably need to pay attention to, this could all change with whatever is going on. Look how fast things changed in the last few weeks, so, I think it's a good idea, Steve. We might have that contract, but we can certainly take that under advisement, just because of the timing right now.
I have tried to get all the staff that have other boards and commissions that they, just cancel those meetings. There's nothing pressing that I'm aware of on any of those that they need to go ahead and do. So as long as, they keep them updated with what's going on with operations for the park board, for example, and Sal's got his boards that he reports to, et cetera. All of those things, we'll keep them informed, but there's not a reason to go ahead and meet unless it's really a dire circumstance, I would think.
We'll take it under consideration and let us know.
Will do.
Will do. Anyone else?
City Attorney's report, public vote on whether or not to hold a closed meeting to discuss personnel, legal, and real estate matters pursuant to section 610.021 RSMO. Scornia?
Yes.
Zolentrop?
Yes.
Matkey?
Yes.
Pettit?
Yes.
Obermark?
Yes.
Idrich?
Aye.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Wessels?
Aye.
Okay, we are.